Well, dude, thank you. I'm happy this came together. I know it's been a minute
All good, man.
in
I've been
planning, but yeah.
traveling more than normal, but I'm in the middle of like kind of the middle of nowhere, so it's actually like the only way I get to events now, other than these like New Mexico jams that happen all the time.
Yeah, so you're in Santa Fe?
Hmm.
Nice. And you moved out there like a few years ago, like 2023, right? Like around then?
Maybe 2022 or something. I think so.
All
I don't
right.
remember. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, because I remember seeing you at the Volume 3 party in LA. And you were like, "Yeah, I'm living in New Mexico now." I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, yeah.
So where were you just now? You were on two
I
trips,
was
right?
Yeah, I went to San Francisco for the Epicenter book release party and exhibit. And then I had an event at Orchard with photographer JJ Gonson for the book. Like I did a book back in 2008 with Nathan Nedorostic, this like really fantastic designer, longtime friend of mine. And then the long the long story is like it was a partnership with MTV and Powerhouse Publishing, and then MTV dissolved its publishing wing, so we got the rights back, and then we just were able to reprint it and get it back in like
Hell
a
yeah.
new edition and everything. So we had this like pretty wild event at Orchard, not in like the typical skate fashion. It was just kind of weird, like lurker people coming in and out, and like uh this like I forget the dude's name, but he's like one of those like political heckler dudes. Like he wears like a shark suit and like fucks
Jesus
with
Christ.
Mike Johnson and stuff. And he was there just doing some shtick. I don't know. It was pretty awesome.
That's sick. And yeah, Boston is home turf for you, right?
Yeah, I lived there for a long time and like grew up outside of the city, which like if you say that, if you live like more than 10 miles outside of the city, you're not outside of the city or whatever the fuck. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I
There's always those geographical rules, to claiming if you're from a city or not.
yeah, it's like, dude, it's just fucking easier. No one's heard of Lawrence, Mass, man. Like, simmer down.
For the listeners, if you don't know by now, we're talking to Anthony Poppalardo today. First off, thank you so much for coming on, and second
Thank you.
off, I wanted to start off by saying I'm excited to interview you because when I first started working at Jankum, I had read, a bunch of your pieces leading up to starting to work there, like from beforehand. And then you were like one of the first people I met outside of like Ian and Alexis and Christian, like the
Hmm.
first kind of skate media person I had met. And it was super cool meeting you, like putting a face to like all the writing I had read. And I thought that was, you know, kind of full circle. It was cool. And then I got to work with you a bunch throughout the years. And that was always a fucking pleasure, So excited to have you on.
Yeah, same here. I mean, that was like, I think Jenkem in retrospect, I mean, I know it goes through its different iterations, but that was like a period. It almost felt like one of the last like a magazine staff in a
Hmm.
way, like everyone had their little lane. Not that they don't now, but it actually felt like sort of this like collective of people with different voices and ideas. And that was a very cool time. That was like there was a period in like from like 2012 to like 2018 where like I was writing for so many different places and like
Yeah.
I look back on the shit and I'm like, I don't even remember writing half this stuff because a lot of it would be like random websites that don't exist anymore, and it would just be like total content farm shit. Like, can you write about like 10 jazz records recorded in fucking Florida? Yep. Like deposit the money. Cool.
Yeah, that was probably the end of being able to like write like that for a living, like
Hmm.
in our sphere, not like, major magazine writing, but more like blog writing and smaller mag writing. That was kind of like, I mean, you could get freelance gigs at the time. There were still people were still reading stuff for the most part. It was cool.
Yeah, it's crazy how in a short period of time, like people's media consumption is down to just like fire emojis or something, you know? Like it's kind of a bum. I was thinking about it today before we talked that like for better or worse, the fragmenting of media, like there kind of aren't those like places you go to for an editorial voice anymore. And people can argue like whether skating ever needed one or if that's antiquated or not, you know, like, but I don't know. There's some like I grew up reading magazines and like devouring them, and like all those people were super, like some of those people helped me out in my life, you know, whether it was like Kevin Wilkins or getting to like talk to Andy Jenkins and Mark Luman, and obviously like Lance Dawes was like super helpful. So it's like
Yeah.
it kind of feels like that chain's broken because that's not how we consume things anymore. And like I don't mean to be too like teary-eyed about it, but it's more it's more of a thing like I never like whatever I've fucking seen like the laser disc get faded out or some shit, you know? Like I didn't really give a fuck because just videos go somewhere else, but to see like consuming writing change so much and you know it almost maybe like a lot of it shifted to more academic or like Substack and stuff like that, and that's totally cool, but there's something
hmm
I'm kind of a simple person. Like I like to turn on the TV and just watch what's on. I like to pick up a thing and read it, you know? Whatever.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think now when you consume, like when I read writing through skateboarding, it is usually like a simple magic, which is amazing.
Mhm.
But that is like, I don't want to say it's academic, but there is like this sense of like elevated writing to it. Like there's no simpleton skate writing anymore, which is kind of what I was into. Like a silly recap of a tour, you know, like you
Yeah.
can't read about it anymore. You watch the tour video, that's great, but there's no article written by a guy who was just in the van being like, "Yeah, it was so fried. We did this, you know, just dumb stuff." That is kind of faded away.
Yeah, it's almost what's interesting about that is that interesting's an oversell, sorry. But the thing about that is like because you can see everything, you see the tour, you know, edited and how it happened or whatever. But like I like that one person's perspective of like, yeah, we fucking started calling this dude Hot Dog Jimmy because all he would eat was like the 7-Eleven hot dog. Like I like that. I don't know, storytelling's I hate to see storytelling get lost or get too like sometimes it gets a little too cute. Not, and I'm guilty of that myself, you
Oh
know, because
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
like
Because you romanticize it when you write it too, and you
yes.
kind of get that feeling.
Yeah, and you start connecting things like I took these screenshots the other day about it's something I might write about. It's just so niche and weird. But then the deeper you go, like you're like, whoa, this actually is connected to all this other stuff. And like I enjoy that, but sometimes I'll stop myself and be like, all right, dude, this is like getting into fucking true crime territory. Like simmer the fuck down, you know?
So let's go back and how did you
Yeah.
get into how'd you get into writing and where did you first start writing about skateboarding? And I know you also have written about music for
Mhm.
a long time as well. How did that all start?
It's it all started with like academic encouragement at a pretty young age. And that was like my mom was a nursing professor. She got her doctorate. She's, you know, like I wouldn't say academia, but I guess by default that's what it would be. But we didn't grow up like we didn't have like New Yorker sitting around or like fucking Paris Review. My dad was a chemist, but they were the first people in their families to go to college. So there was always this emphasis on education. And I think just out of being like a I spent a lot of time alone as a kid because like where I grew up, there wasn't, it was like I grew up in a city. It was kind of in this weird commercial row of like I lived in between a Chinese food restaurant and a car garage. So it wasn't like
Right.
I was going out and fucking throwing apples against the wall or some shit, you know, like it was kind of a little isolated. So you make shit up in your head. And I was into like comics and I think that and just being like an imaginative kid, like teachers would be like, "Ooh, you have talent," or whatever. What the fuck that means? I don't know. It was probably the era of like the gifted kid. So
Yeah.
I thought like I was good at writing or some shit, you know? So through that, I don't remember if it was Freestylin' magazine or Go magazine, but I wrote them a letter and they printed it and responded to it. And at that point, I was like, I was maybe 12 and I was like, see, I'm the fucking best in the world. Obviously, people want to listen to me, you know, and like, I had friends who did like hardcore zines and I would write for those. And,
Mhm.
but uh, the big thing was like going to Philly, meeting a bunch of the people there and talking to Sergey Trudnowski. And he was like, oh, dude, do you know that like Lance Dawes at Slap was like a big DC hardcore dude before he was in skating? And like you should talk to him. He'll
Oh,
let you like he's probably down for you to write because you know I was writing. My friend did like a pretty professional fanzine called Extent. Like it came out on a schedule.
hmm.
It came with a free CD. It was like professionally printed, and I would
That's
write for
sick.
that. Yeah, it was cool. And like he lived off that, which was pretty amazing. Like
It came with
uh
the CD every issue.
yeah, it was an amazing dude. Let's talk about this for a minute.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta hear about this.
So my roommate at the time, John LaCroix, we used to play in a band together, and I don't know the impetus, but oh, this is actually, I'm fairly sure this is how it happened. Now, this is me fact checking myself because I said people lie on podcasts. When we would get our demo tapes reproduced, like we got tired of making them on our own, we would go to this place. I don't know, it's called like the Tape Factory or whatever in Boston. And the dude would always push us like, I can make CDs now, which was pretty high tech for early 90s. And we discovered like a CD was as cheap to make as a tape, even cheaper because you didn't have to get the case for it. Like you could just put it in a little
Oh,
plastic sleeve. And so he would sell advertising to labels like, give me 400 bucks and I'll put it on this sampler and you could put like 98 minutes of music on a CD. So he would sell advertising and do these samplers that would pay for the zine and everything. So
that's incredible.
it was pretty like it was a selling point too because it was like $2 for a fanzine with the free, you know, CD with real bands too, not like fucking Billy and the Barfers, like real shit, you know. And so I think like Sergey introduced me to Dawes and Dawes was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know, like I don't know how this works really, you know." And I covered there was a big event in New Jersey called Shred for Life, which was like a fundraiser and a big not an auditorium like a convention center and that
Okay,
like
yeah, yeah.
it was like everyone from the East Coast went there and they had real ramps and like a really sick setup and I just went and covered it and they sent you know I forget who took the photos but the first thing I did for Slap it was Slap magazine which I should have mentioned and it was like a fucking 8-page spread
Oh
and
shit, that's
and
awesome.
and then they were like they didn't have a lot of assignments because you know the most I could do, I was living in Boston at the time. I was like, want me to go talk about this spot or whatever? And they're just like, nah. And they started, I was pitching them music interviews, like just musicians I liked. I was, you know, I talked to Dawes a little bit,
Oh,
like there's kind of some cool stuff happening and there's not either hardcore, tangential to hardcore, post-hardcore, indie rock, just, you know, whatever. And then how I would make money was doing music reviews because you'd get like an email and you'd claim like what you were going to review. Um, and if they printed them, like if you did like 4 or 5 reviews a month, that was like 600 bucks and my rent was 200. So I
oof,
was basically rich. And then if
dude.
I got a feature, that was like another 800. So I was like killing it, you know, because they used to
Oh,
pay by
that's
the word,
awesome.
which was amazing, like $1 a word or something. So it felt like it was pretty sick. But for me, it was like, getting to meet people, getting to talk to folks, you know, and then having like, you know, dudes ask you where to buy Coke, which is always really cool.
Well, that's a great start, you know, like that's a great introduction to the like magazine writing world, like getting paid a dollar a word is like, you know, that's unheard of now. I mean, now you
Yeah.
don't really get paid per word anyway, but that rate is awesome.
Yeah, it could have been like it might have went down to 50 cents a word or something, but like I wrote for them a lot of times it would just be music reviews and then other because your name was in a mag, other people would pick up on it. And then like
Hmm.
I used this guy, Jason Pettigrew, got in touch with me and I started writing for alternative press. And then I used to write for that magazine Heckler. That was a weird
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I never met anyone there. They would just ask me to do music reviews. Um, and then yeah, and then from there it just went into like trying to do books. And then I got back into media again when it kind of transitioned from print to online. Because like
Hmm.
there was this, I think I forget the name of the writer from Spin. He would talk about it, but there was like in the early 2000s, people thought online writing was such bullshit that the air quote real writers didn't want to do it. And I was like, oh, it pays real money. Fucking, I don't care. Like, so I would just, man, I would write for the weirdest, like all that shit doesn't exist anymore. It's all like not even on like archive.org, it's just these fly by
That's
night
nuts.
websites and shit funded by like stealth funded by like an energy drink or some shit.
Yeah, yeah. Propped up for like a few years and then it's just gone forever.
Yeah, exactly.
That is crazy. Like, I'm a sucker for print media. It's
Hmm.
just I don't know. I've always read magazines. I've always liked being around, like seeing people make zines and all that kind of stuff. But it really sucks that like not it's so hard to make that and the only alternative is to write online. And writing online sometimes isn't permanent. But that print media, I have magazines from, I don't know, when I was 11 years old still. So I guess it's just I mean, I guess that it can't really work out today to put so much effort into print media, but
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's expensive, but like, I wanted to ask you, like, if you, I've noticed when there was more competition with magazines, they would be more apt to run things. They weren't that critical. They might be like, oh, what's a better hook or whatever. Or sometimes it was just as simple as like, I'm going to talk to this person, and they're like, cool. It wasn't that
yeah.
much. And now everything seems so, even online, it's like people are very precious with the space they have, and it's harder to get things to happen. I don't know what your experience is with that, but it feels hard to me.
Yeah, I don't know because it seems like there's the same amount of outlets from when I first started working in
Mhm,
media till now. Like it's not like yeah, some have came and went and stuff like that, but there's still, the same amount new ones pop up. But I think now everyone is so focused on like um video and having like some kind of media with it that if you wanted to write something that doesn't have like a media element, it's kind of just like, well, why would we
mhm,
do that? And especially online, maybe print, I don't know because I haven't really written anything in print in years.
mhm.
But for online stuff, it's like, why are we gonna put effort and money into you writing this 1,000 word piece when 150 people are gonna read it, as opposed to
Yeah.
this video that's gonna get thousands of views and we could write one paragraph about it and that's that.
Yeah, and
I
like my thing is like how many of those thousand are fucking bots anyways? Like people are so caught up in these metrics. Like the other thing that I think is funny is like and there's all these like buzzwords that like just make me want to puke and like culture is like the ultimate puker.
Yep.
Um, but it's like, how come all these, whether it's brands or outlets, and like, they're like, we're about culture and da 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 da. And it's like, but you won't print anything about the history of the culture. Like,
No,
so
no.
culture is really like what it's almost like whatever your muse is for that minute, like whatever brand is hot or whatever person like looks cool on video. But like, it's like, I don't really enjoy being in this ahistorical world. Like
Yeah.
it's fucking kind of trippy. Like it just feels like everything's kind of floating and can just go away at any moment. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, like when I worked at Vice and I realized like all their engagement was fake, that was when I was like, none of this fucking matters because like, like if you think about like how my cursory understanding of like what they would often do is like most people's YouTube was on autoplay. So if like Chevrolet wanted to do some branded content, just by the way the player would work, it would get X amount of views. So they could guarantee X amount of 12-second views or whatever. And it
Yeah.
would be like a no-brainer. And it's like, I don't know, dude, like we're finding out most of the shit is just fucking bots and
Yeah,
like
and
not,
no one likes it. Like there's a lot
yeah.
of shit. It's just like, what is this made? Like, what is the point of this even being made? Like,
Mhm.
someone could have worked on something that actually has like some kind of impact on the culture, not just like a response to an event that happened last week or
Mhm.
something. Like when you brought up the word culture, it's like um it's only about like the culture in this second. Like
Yeah.
in this moment right now. And what is the culture this second but like profit and growth and trying to just maximize how much money. That's the culture right now for everything. So that's just where it falls. There's no like, and I think I wanted to ask you about this being that you've been a part of the hardcore scene and skateboarding for so long. Like, are subcultures even a thing anymore? Like, do they still hold weight, or are subcultures just gone due to mass, Instagram, social media, and also just capital being poured into all these things?
There's a publication, I don't know if it still is run digitally called The Baffler. And they
Mm-hmm.
did this, they did that book, Commodify Your Dissent, which is kind of about that. And there's an essay about um it's all about Henry Rollins.
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
forget when it's written. I think it's a mid 90s or whatever, early 2000 or late 90s. But it was about this idea of how they Henry Rollins went from like a subculture icon, like the fucking lone wolf guy or whatever, poet, to like doing Gap ads and Apple ads and being in movies and like how he became sort of like the archetype for the tech disruptor guy, you know,
Whoa.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
that's a
pretty
wild
sick.
comparison.
And I was like, fuck, he created the manosphere like without knowing. And I think like just all that stuff, like it's not a slight, like wine moms know who Turnstile is, right? That's not a good or a bad thing, but to say like I am in the subculture of blah, it's like you're just into a thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
hardcore, I know it has like a lot of meaning to people, but also like long walks on the beach have a lot of meaning to people too. You know what I mean? And like fucking craft beer has a lot, like all these, it's kind of like what you do with it, right? But like as far as like older folks like always say like if there is a subculture, I shouldn't know about it, like there's that line. And it's like I don't
Yep.
know, it's just different. Like when something exists for so long, it just fragments into like if you talk to anyone who like says they like skating, you judge them off what they like.
Yeah, yeah.
And you decide if like they're like, oh, they're a coworker, dude. Like they just like coworker skateboarding. Like they'll send you a fucking Richie Jackson video from 20 years ago. Like they're not like, oh yeah, have you seen the fucking sex hippies video? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you can't help it. And so like I think in that regard, the subculture exists in like how far down the filter you go. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like
I get what you're saying.
I think, because like I don't know. I mean, all these things they just become they're just a fucking thing. They're just a thing it's like a natural selection. Like fucking pogo ball didn't survive, but skateboards did,
Yeah, yeah.
like I don't know if you maybe there's a pogo ball subculture like that's fucking hardcore. That's really sick. It's like it's all in the intention of it. And I think like, you use like the it could be hardcore, it could be skating, like you're always going to have your Mikey Alfred type people, you know,
Hmm.
that are there to be like a fucking Dorito. It's just like skating. It's got angles, you know, like you can
The
make that shit
triangle.
up. Yeah, it's like the hardcore's a triangle, man. You got the crowd, the music, the fucking art, you know, like what we can do that all day long. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think the larger thing is like you can plug into anything through your phone, right? Like, so you don't like think of I was talking to someone about this. Like, there were so many people that got into hardcore during the pandemic that never went. Like, they might have not gone to a show for 2 years. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but they weren't into hardcore until they went to the show and they could like feel whatever that energy is. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, like that's the part like the part of it is interacting with people. So it's like to me, it's not
Hmm.
a subculture if it just exists like on a phone, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's like another, you brought up like a puke word for me is community. And like
Mhm.
here, when people are like, oh, yeah, they're criticizing something about a community, like, oh, this community, but it's just like a group of people on Twitter talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the community they're talking about, or like a subreddit that's the
Mhm.
community. It's like, that's not community. That's you're all just online talking about, which is fine. I love talking shit online about stuff.
Yeah,
It's my
yeah.
favorite. But I don't say it's like a community building event. It's not like,
Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't go like you wouldn't be somewhere and talking to people and like, yeah, I'm really in the fucking R pluribus TV community. It'd
yes,
be so
exactly.
insane. Like that'd be demented if you were like, you know, like I don't know. I mean, that's the other thing. Like I saw like message board culture become like go the other way. Like message boards used to be like something happened real, then you talked about it, and then you did another real thing, then you talked about it, and then the opposite happened where it's like people were like plotting the fucking I don't know whether it's like QAnon or whatever or some shit, and they talk about this thing, then they make it happen like the other way. It's
Yes.
totally like that is the trippiest shit to me, you know, and like it kind of happens in like skateboarding, I think, too, you know, like
Oh, for sure. Something will happen on Twitter or on Slap or a post on Instagram, and that's the impetus for news. It's not like
yeah,
the
yeah,
news happened and then people talked about it online. It's like the news is coming from online. Then you report on, and then you totally remove skateboarding from it because it's all just, yeah, maybe the shit talking is based in skating or they're talking about a trick or whatever. But then you're really just talking about someone's tweet at the end
yeah.
of it. And it's like, shit, that kind of sucks. That took the whole, which it again, it's fun to talk shit about people's tweets and to respond to people's heinous takes, and I love doing, but it's not like driving anything forward. It's not interesting for an outsider to read. It's not going to engage people. It's
It
not
doesn't make
community.
it doesn't make me think, but like neither dude does a lot of skateboarding. Not in a bad way. It's just it's not cerebral, and that's okay. Like my pet peeve is like having like someone coach me before I do an interview and be like, ask him about like why he does manuals that way. And I'm like, who fucking cares? What like in like what do you think the dude's gonna be like, oh fucking my stepdad was a drunk and broke my ankle and I had to rely on my front foot. Like that's more interesting, I guess. You know, like
Yeah.
there's not gonna be some not like the dude's just good at manuals or some shit, you know, like the actual like I mean, I don't know, like think of the ultimate example of like being cerebral about tricks is like Rodney Mullen. And it's like there's one Rodney Mullen. I don't need to hear someone else talk about like the physics. I'm not interested, you know? Like you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
know about the people and like, you know, everything to me is like your perception of someone and then what they present to you. That's all it is, you know? And it's like
Hmm.
there's people who are like really good at presenting themselves in a way like look at I've never been a bigger. Blondie McCoy fan than in the last like month, where it's like I love listening to this dude talk. He's fantastic.
Oh my God, his interview on the bunt was all I saw he just put out like another thing that I want to watch now, but
Yeah,
his interview on the bunt was amazing. I went from thinking he was just some like stuck-up douche to being like, damn, dude, he's awesome. He has so many good things to say or so many interesting things to say and like he presents himself in such a nice way. You're just like, all right, cool. Like I'll watch your skating again now.
yeah, totally. It's also like having interviewed so many people, I'm sure you can relate. Like when people know how to answer a question, like they've put thought into it, or they pause, or they know your question sucks and they turn it into something good.
Yep.
Like there's an art to that, like I really like I appreciate that instead of like I mean it's also like I don't think it's anyone's fault. Like not everyone is good at answering a question or putting like some people are just really fucking good at shit and that's the story.
Yeah. And all, like a lot of these I noticed like a lot of the younger skaters I interviewed, I guess it also is just like experience and like life experience or whatever, but um a lot of the younger skaters I interviewed like would be so timid they wouldn't know how to answer a question.
Hmm.
Um and it's like, all right, that's fine. Like maybe we just don't interview you that like
Yeah.
maybe your skating will just speak for itself and that's fine. But then you interview like an older guy and yeah, they put some thought into the questions. They actually like want to answer it and it's like, all right, people are actually going to be way more hyped on like I interviewed Jimmy Carlin way after his peak. He had already left all his sponsors. He was starting to become a teacher. That got me and like all my friends stoked on Jimmy Carlin again just because the interview, he was so cool in the interview. I wasn't even a big fan of him when he was popular. I was like, oh, this is
Hmm.
just some mystery ass skater, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's not my thing. But it turned my whole perception around on him, and I was like, all right, this is cool. And for the younger skaters who don't answer the questions right or too timid or sometimes just really don't give a fuck and just are like, I'm doing this because the sponsor wants me to, like it doesn't taint it doesn't like make me not like them, but I'm like, all right, maybe you're just really good at skating, and that's you didn't come into skating to become this popular figure. You're just good at skating, and I'm gonna appreciate that, and that's it.
Yeah, the other thing too that like is a massive dynamic that changed is like if you did an interview, years ago, even if you were a top level skater, you were like, "Ooh, I'm doing an interview with like this established rider," and they're kind of like, I don't know, like some of these people are like the writing equivalent of my skating. So we're like almost on even footing. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like those people who are really good. So like these big personas will come in and be like, "Ooh, I'm doing an interview with Big Brother. This is almost like a debate or something or a match, like I'm interviewing with Narako." And it's like you don't have that as much anymore. That's one factor. The other factor is like you just curate who you are. You say everything you want on your own through your social channel, and then the other thing is like you also have more to lose. Like if you're,
Yes.
new skater X who just got his contract, you don't want to get canceled or say something fucking dumb or
Yeah.
like, violate your contract. So it's like that shit didn't exist like in other eras where it's like and also it was just in print, like it wasn't gonna travel past that magazine. So
Hmm.
you could kind of let it fly and air people out and say be a little wilder.
Yeah, yeah. That definitely I noticed that change too in the years I worked at Jankum. Like the change in a tone that someone would come into the interview with. Like
Hmm.
early on, it was like, all right, dude, I'm doing a Jankum interview. They're gonna ask me some crazy questions, like probably some dumb drug or poop question is gonna come up, and I'm gonna have like a funny answer for it, whatever. Then as it went on, those questions would just they wouldn't answer. They'd be like, nah, like I'm not answering that. Like
Hmm.
they would just bow out totally from answering anything that could be taint their reputation or make them look a little silly or goofy or anything. Because yeah, there's just more to lose. There's more at stake. And also, I don't think they got as much out of it. Like it used to
Yeah.
be, writers would get like incentives to do interviews back in the day, right? Like they would kind of get paid a little more or whatever if they got featured in a mag.
Yeah,
Now
well,
the
it's like
writers
your
don't get
your
anything
photo
out of
is
it.
your photo incentives went up so much more because if you had like 10 photos for a, an interview, like I also think like if you're younger, you're like, what the fuck am I getting out of this?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Like the only thing I'm getting out of it is maybe looking like a jerk off. Like that's not like a big sell.
The
Unless
the
it's like,
magazine gets more out of it, you know? Like the magazine is getting more out of interviewing this up and coming skater who just got on a big shoe company. The magazine is the one benefiting. They're gonna get the clicks and the views and all this. Whereas the skater is like, I just might get in trouble. Like so people just
yeah,
might hate what I say, you know,
hmm
like they might hate my point of view and that's it. Like,
yeah,
what's
or
the
I
point
can,
in saying anything crazy? I'm just gonna say I grew up skating in California. I love skating. It's the best.
yeah,
That's it.
everything rules. Um, it's like, or so you could do like a harder interview with a skate mag and talk about a bunch of shit that maybe you don't want to talk to, or like do a photo shoot with like some fashion mag and put your hand over your face and fucking do a fluff interview and like the people behind you are going to be more psyched on that?
Of course, yeah. It makes so much more sense. Um, but yeah, I guess w with that, like I think there are people still doing like, kind of cool old school like style interviews. Like I know the Bunt has like their structure to their interviews, but I feel like that's the closest thing to like what we used to have in like magazine style
Mhm.
interviews, like they still get the most out of their right like the people who they have on the show and everything.
Yeah, they'll push it. I mean, there's also like, I don't want to sound too one-sided because it's like there's there's a magazine or zine or some type of like content for everything you like now, which rules.
Hmm.
Like the fact that like you can be a very specific type of person and you get like everything is almost like the cool version of what you would want, so you don't have to sift through the fucking pool skating or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like it's all there. Or if you're only like a pool skater, dude, you have all that too. Like I don't know, I guess is Juice magazine still a thing?
Yeah.
Like you can read about like the 4,000th interview with Steve Olson or something. Like
Yeah.
that's fucking sick. Like it's incredible. Like you can just follow a fucking Instagram about fucking pants, like
Yeah.
whatever. Like that is cool. That is cool too. I'm not being, it's just a difference, like, and
Yeah.
there is something like I kind of I like going into an interview not knowing what's going to happen, and half the time I'm like, I kind of know how this is going to go.
So moving past the skate media and the
Mhm.
changes and stuff, I want to talk to you a little bit about the two books you brought up earlier. But first off, I want to talk about Epicenter and
Yeah.
how the rollout for that was. How was it being in San Francisco for that? And what is Epicenter and what
Yeah.
role
So it
did you
was
play in the book?
Jacob Rosenberg had, he has like an amazing archive, and I think he's really good at preserving his archive. And the short version is like he was showing, I believe, Ted Barrow, these Embarcadero photos he had. And because of the timing of the just, taking down most of Embarcadero and the sculpture there,
Hmm.
Ted was like, you really need to make this in a physical, like you need to do something physical with this. And then he talked to a couple people and Greg Hunt came on to creative direct the project. And it was kind
Hell
of
yeah.
like, I think the caution, like when we were early on, was like, this is not the definitive 90s Embarcadero book. Like, it's
Okay.
not that. It's a collection of these photos, sort of like 90 to 93 that Jacob took, and then writing that we thought would complement the photos. So, like, one half, it's two separate books. Like, one half is just photos, one is like, um, words, schematics of the space. But I think like to zoom out, like it's just a story about the most simple idea of street skating is like Well, actually, let me back up more because I think it's actually not simple. Like if you skated in the 80s, you almost had to learn how to skate twice. Like
Hmm.
you might have come up in like the vert or jump ramp era or whatever, and then all the technical tricks came in. So like you learned like one skill set, then you had to learn an
Yeah.
entirely new vocabulary. Like
The
I was
shape of
talking,
your skateboard changed in that time,
dude,
like
sometimes by the month,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like I learned to kickflip twice because I learned first on a board that didn't really have a nose, so they were rocket. Because there's no option
Yeah.
really. Then you had a board with a nose, and you're like, oh, you can kind of, you have more to aim towards.
Yeah.
Um, and you can see it like in older skaters, like other people have talked about that too. But so you kind of learned how to skate like two different times almost in 4 years, and like it's crazy. It's wild to think about like if you were skating in like 1990, you were going from curbs to ledges. Like ledges just started to be a thing that people were comfortable on because more people could ollie. Like even that was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's crazy.
like you could be a pro who didn't ollie, which is totally like a street pro that didn't ollie. Like you did a bunch of like hand plants and shit like that, like and make money. No disrespect to those people, that's just what skating was. And then all of a sudden it like went to ledges and and the tricks got more technical and like so you had to find a place to do it, right? And like Embarcadero just it was this happenstance of like a place you could go that you wouldn't get kicked out, that had everything except for a handrail basically that was like it was like everything you needed where like
Yeah.
it made other people look at it and go, well, then there has to be some plaza near me where I can go do that. And then you started to see like Freedom Plaza, Copley in Boston, whatever, like other places come up.
Hmm.
Um, so I think like that there's that, and then there's also like you can almost see in the photos that like because things were getting invented, everyone had their little superpower because like there could be a there could be someone in Embarcadero who's the only one who could nollie flip for months.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like fucking the nollie flip guy, and there's this photo of the nollie flip guy, and that's mind blowing, because no one had caught up to the vocabulary yet. Um, so I think there's like that component. There's like the
That's
public space
wild.
idea, and like I don't know, we at least for like my component of it, like I was just trying to write like why is this important? Because we've heard about it ad nauseum and
Hmm.
but like if you pick this up and had no idea, you could understand why this like brick plaza was important to people and like what I think the other stuff about like the relationships and the friendships, like it kind of almost more becomes implied. Um, because it's like I mean, there's a really rad conversation with Mike Carroll, James Couch, Jacob, and Rick Ibiseta.
Oh, that's
And that
awesome.
part is like I remember going through a version of it, and at first I was like, my editor brain was like, I love cutting things up and just not being precious. And I was like, no, this just needs to sound like people on a bench
Yeah, yeah.
recounting that whole thing because that's where the personality comes in. So
That's
um
awesome.
and then they had the event, next to Hubba Hideout, where Hubba Hideout was a GCS agency, and Jacob's photos and video in like a room with like this raw footage that he edited together where you could just kind of go in and zone out, see a lot of stuff you had never seen, and see like I think the most interesting thing is like how the good skaters of that era would try to do as many tricks in a row to show how consistent they were because like consistency wasn't a thing yet. So like
Hmm.
if you could skate the whole plaza, like you were really fucking you're A-lister. Yeah, and like that was like a pretty it was an overwhelming event. Like maybe close to 1,000 people came and like
Oh shit.
a mix of like younger people, SOTY contenders, people who weren't wearing t-shirts in the winter, old heads, families. Like it was in like hieroglyphics performed, like Dell performed. And then Ted Barrow did like a historical tour, for the next 2 days, taking people around the spot. So it was really cool. And then, but to answer like being in San Francisco, the more interesting, like the event was incredible, right? But there's the other
Mhm.
component of like looking at a city, know they fucked up the world was so fucking funny of like Waymos and all this fucking
Oh
AI
my
dog shit and
God.
like every warehouse turned into some bullshit cafe with like 4 seats and 4,000 square feet and like you know fucking Teslas with like don't blame me, like and it's like no, your tech industry, everyone grabbing for this, you caused all this fucking, you're a big portion of this problem. And you're the big reason why cities get shitty and why my phone sucks and why the internet sucks, why fucking everything sucks is because of a lot of people focused in this area. And now you're just
Yeah.
all walking around sad and confused because it's kind of setting in that everything sucks now. And like you're getting replaced by fucking AI. And it was like reminded me of the original being in San Francisco in the original dot-com boom, seeing like people just super sad on laptops and like I don't mind reveling in other people's misery. Sometimes it's comforting,
Oh, I mean,
like
when you're the creator of the destruction, it's hard for me to feel sympathy
yeah,
that now you're noticing. Like you said, I'll see fucking bumper stickers on Teslas where it's like, I bought this before I knew he was a Nazi or some shit like it's like, dude, you bought a Tesla. You bought it. You're a
yeah,
part of this. Like you are, whether you like it or not, or like people who worked for these big tech companies and then they leave and like expose that,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
you were doing this. You were,
Whistleblowers, dude. I'm a whistleblower. It's like
yeah, like
whatever, man. I've
it's
gotten
awesome.
hoodwinked. Yeah, I've
Blow
gotten
the whistle,
hoodwinked.
that's fine. But also you profited off of what is now destroying, what a bunch of shit we like, the cities we like, the hobbies we like, the
The way like if you think about it, like a lot of what tech did, and like I'm harsh on tech and I don't fucking care. It's like a lot of what it did is it ruined the experience of things I like. And what I'll say
yeah,
about that is like if you think about music, right? I like the experience of listening to a college radio show and like finding which DJ I like and hearing them talk about shit and having them interview bands or whatever. Going to a record store, dealing with the annoying clerk, like I like that whole not knowing what's going to be there. I don't need to see like their fucking flip through video on Instagram. I just want to go in and see what's popping that day. And then you just go to like whether it's like Spotify or Tidal or whatever, it's just this fucking super like gray, boring, everything's the same. Like when I go to fucking whatever, like End It or fucking Imagine Dragons, it's just still a little JPEG. It's like there's no difference between any of this. It's all the fucking same thing, like,
yeah.
if you're in the fucking coworker music section, it still looks like everything else.
And now you could just have an AI DJ
Yeah.
make a radio station for you and talk to you as if they're a radio DJ. That's
Yeah.
crazy, Like totally eliminated, like you said, those college radio stations where, yeah, your friend's band might be on that radio station that day. Like there's one, the one in Long Island, like the Stony Brook University has a pretty good one, and they'd play hardcore music or they'd play like rap music. They would just play cool stuff. Now, you know, I bet a third of the people who used to listen to that still listen to it because now it's just you go on Spotify and you can make your own radio station, Like that is
Yeah,
kind of
people
crazy.
fall for the slop or even like I don't know, someone will send me something. It's like, oh, have you heard this band Plateau? And I'm like, no, I'm not listening to Plateau because it's just some fucking garbo fake band. Like, I'm not in like I know it sounds like something. It's like, oh, dude, if you like Jesus and Mary Chain, you'll love this. It's like, I know, dude. Like, I'll figure it out on my own, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's not interesting to me. And that's like that sort of like grayification is like everything. You know what I mean? Like no one can say like the experience of like Instagram being like how people consume skating. The interface sucks. It's not fun. It's not
Yeah, it doesn't look cool.
yeah, it doesn't look cool. You're not like, oh man, fucking wow, that clip got me so psyched. Like I can't wait. Like if the clip got you psyched, then you watch the video of the clip in the way that you want to absorb it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure if that's how you consume stuff, if you're younger, you're like, oh my God, whatever. But I don't know, like the like sanitization of the way everything comes to you is kind of a fucking bummer.
Yeah. And also like even just reading an article online as opposed to reading an article in like a print magazine. Like I always had Thrasher magazines, like I always had a subscription growing up. So like those were cool because you're also looking at pictures, there's some design that goes into it. Someone laid this out, whatever, even if
Yeah.
they all kind of look, they have a formula for how their interviews look. But still, it's like a little different every time. Now it's like you just scroll down on a web browser page, and I'll throw a little bit of shit talking here because this annoys me because I like the work Free Skate Mag does. I like their
Hmm.
interviews, whatever. But they have like gray text on a white background on their website. And I can't
Yeah.
read that. Like I can't, it looks horrible. There's nothing engaging to it. Like it's just dull. So if I don't get the magazine and read the interview in there, I'm not reading it on online
Hmm.
because that's I guess that's just like a design flaw in their website, but it's not as sexy as seeing it in a magazine. Like there's nothing cool about it. It's just text on
You,
a website.
you know the other thing, there's a rhythm like something I appreciate about Thrasher is like the segments, like I know what's coming, right? Like if I want to skip ahead and read the shit talk in the back, I know it's in the back. Like everything else is just infinite. My brain doesn't like that. Like I like a format, like
Yep.
I think that's why people like the bunt because there's like sections to it and there's a rhythm, and there's a
Yeah,
payoff.
yeah.
Like that's we like I don't know, we're like humans look at patterns. Like all we do is like identify patterns and like when
Yep.
I'm just in like a fucking infinite thing, like it's also like when you're just so bored and then all of a sudden like I'm getting like Etnies dudes in my feed because I've burned everything out. Like, ooh, you should fucking look at this Aurelian Giraud trick. I'm like, whoa, dude, time to go outside, man. Like,
Yeah,
fucking, like
yeah.
I reached the end of Instagram. Fuck.
Oh man. So talking back to some books and stuff that we were
Yeah,
talking about and music and shit like that. I wanted to ask you about Radio Silence, and you
yeah,
had mentioned earlier it had started in '08. You said that's when
yeah.
it originally came out.
I'm gonna grab a copy. It's better for my brain.
Oh hell yeah.
Uh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
what's new in this latest update? Because I saw there was like you added some new stuff, or it's an extended kind of edition.
yeah. I mean, because the book took us so long to begin with, and it had all these different types of ephemera, like the original cut, like I think this is like 282 pages. The original version we brought to MTV was 800 pages, and they were
Oh
like, "There's no,
shit.
like you're fucking crazy. Like we can't do half of that." But we spent so much time photographing all this stuff and finding this stuff that we were like, we want to put as much in,
Yeah, yeah.
And then our editor Jacob Hoy, like he's just really good, incredible book editor. He just showed us how to make a rhythm and like, you know, he's like, I know you think all this stuff is cool, but like if you could only show 10 t-shirts, like what are they? 10
Yeah,
flyers, like
yeah.
really, really think about that, and he's like, because then people are gonna go look and find the other stuff. And this was before a lot of it was archived online, So when
Hmm.
we came to this one, of course our instinct was like, oh, let's put in as much as we can that we didn't in the first time. But what like kind of where we landed was like too much has happened between when we were assembling the book in the early 2000s to now, where if we went back and talked to people and we're like, ooh, tell us about this thing, it's going to sound different, even though they're talking about the past. Like the way
Yeah,
we talk
yeah.
about the past is different, and I think it would have been too fried. So
Hmm.
we ended up like adding all these green pages of just like badass photos that, like we got this germs photo that
Ah,
had never been published, and we got some quotes from some people, but we really liked hold on, let me like how color shows up on the green and everything. So we
yeah,
added
it's cool.
like,
Like the red shirts and everything. It looks
yeah.
cool.
So we just added like some of our favorite photos or stuff that we felt, we had like they were all photos we got from the first round pretty much.
Hmm.
Um, and added that stuff back in. And I don't know, it was just cool to like when that book came out, like I think MySpace had just sort of become a thing and
Hell yeah.
Facebook was like it. So like everything that happened that we did for it, like we did these big parties, like 2,000 people, and like it just doesn't exist. Like the book,
Hmm.
which kind of in a good way, like the book hasn't been memed or like it hasn't been ripped off a lot. So I don't know. It's still, we looked at it and we're like, if we're gonna have it back in print, like how do we feel about it? And I was like, dude, we did a good job. Like I'm hyped. Like we told a story, like and
Yeah.
there's holes in the story and there's flaws in the story, but I think it's like it's I don't know. I mean the whole idea was like give this sort of like elevated, not elevated, like museum treatment to all this stuff we think is cool. And I
Hmm.
think that still holds up.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. Like you said, if they were telling the stories now about things that happened back then, or like from when you were writing, from what the book focuses on,
Mhm.
like the way you'd interview someone in 2008 is way different than the way you'd interview someone in 2025. So yeah, it would kind of, I don't think it would do it the right justice.
Yeah, it would be like super, like this is something we talked about, like Nathan and I. It's like it'd be super jarring if you're going through and you're like reading all this stuff, and then you get to this new part, and someone's like, "Well, back then I didn't have the bandwidth," and you're just like, ah, like, or they just drop some like fucking LinkedIn ass term, like it would suck. So,
Yeah, yeah. It loses its edge. Like you said, it would be too sanitized, you know. And what like I was wondering, did you guys think of maybe adding like any modern hardcore stuff to kind of like, you know, because it's about more or less it's about like showcasing the history of hardcore and like
mhm.
where it came from and all that kind of stuff. Did you ever have the idea to put in like this is where it brought us today, like hardcore
I
showcase what's going on today?
the the way we constructed the book was like the beginning of hardcore to the introduction of digital design.
Okay.
So we wanted to show more like the aesthetics of like this is cut and paste, and then this is like the introduction of desktop publishing and how it sort of ends with things looking terrible in a way, like stretched out fonts and people just, like trying to explore that. And like I think it would be cool to go from that endpoint, say like 93 to maybe, I don't know, I mean, you could kind of just group it by different aesthetics. Like now we're kind of
Hmm.
in there's almost a cutoff point where it's just repeating niche aesthetics over again, and then there's not like what's the story,
Yep.
Um, but I think like there's definitely like early 2000s aesthetics. There's like different ways you could group it together that I think would be interesting. But that's why like we chose that cutoff point where like let's just stop when computers start getting in the mix.
All
And
right.
kind of
Yeah,
and kind
yeah.
of and kind of show like I mean it goes back to the tech thing of like the sanitizing of stuff. Like you visually see it get less interesting on purpose, you know?
That's crazy. Yeah, yeah. You start seeing a lot of stuff starting to look the same because it worked for XYZ, so why won't it work for us now, 10 years later, you know?
Yeah, it's even like a really good example is like a lot of when I would look at like old magazines or album covers and they would have like a typeface and there would be like the photo would be over and beneath the typeface. I would literally be like, how the fuck these people are
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
magicians, and I didn't realize that they were like cutting that type out and laying it on and overlaying it and using transparencies to get it to happen. Then by the end of like, when Photoshop is coming in and like Quark Express back then, when you could replicate that, like those layers super easily, it looks like the way I look at like AI slop now. Like there's just something
Hmm.
like there's something like unsettling about it, whereas like I like the janky version of everything, you know?
Yeah, there was some, a dude probably sat in his shitty apartment
Hmm.
all night working on that and then hand by hand put them in all the album covers, like in all
Yeah.
the. So, yeah, that's definitely it loses its charm for sure.
Hmm. It's like when you see a like a like a DGK graphic and like there's like a tag and you could tell they made it in Illustrator. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on, man. Like, or what I just picked DGK because that's the first one I thought
Yep.
of. But
No,
like,
that's a perfect I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, or like fake hand-drawn type. And like, there's the early 2000s, there was a lot of like violators of that style. Like, probably, I think Enjoy might have done that one too. Like, and you just know, like, if you've used Illustrator, you're like, oh, come on, man. Yeah,
Yeah. And I guess that's just people working with the new technology and stuff like
totally.
that, but you still have to do your due diligence with it. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's like,
At least make
like
it look good.
sometimes I say this stuff and I feel like a prick, but it's like no one would ever be like, if you were like, oh, I like a certain genre of movie, they wouldn't be like, you are a fucking asshole. It's like, no, it's just the genre of movie you like. And like the genre of design I like is has a human element to it. And I think
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people, like, there's a reason why, like an illustrator, like someone doing something by hand, people will like it more. And then other stuff you have no, like, I don't know who makes a lot of graphics, but like Spanky or Mike Lottie makes graphics, like the
Yep.
graphics they make because there's a human element in that work. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like it's not like intern design.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, with the people doing like their album art or even like flyers for their shows and stuff, like, yeah, hours went into that.
Totally.
There's something, you admire it more than just, oh, some dude plugged this in to some AI shit and it came out like this insanely detailed, cool looking thing. Like, it's not cool. It's just junk on the page. It's just
Yeah,
another thing.
the other thing is like all that stuff can't degrade. So like I have flyers that like they're yellow and they have tape on them and like that's part of the charm. But it's like
Yeah.
if I look at your flyer from a show in 2018 right now, it looks the exact fucking,
Yep.
it might even look better now because my phone's better. I don't have a fucking iPhone SE anymore. Like the resolution's sicker.
Um, so yeah, before we sign off, I feel like I gotta ask, have you been paying attention to the SOTY stuff?
Yeah, how can you not? Anyone who says they're not's lying, dude. It's like
I
I think it's the weirdest year of SOTY ever, even before they announce anyone.
it's crazy, and you know, I love paying attention to this shit. I don't I care who wins, but I love the lead up to it because it's so good. Like, sure, we're inundated with parts and Monster is paying a shit ton of money, and these shoe companies are just pouring budgets into getting their rider on the cover of Thrasher, but it's entertaining at least. Like, it keeps me glued to Slap and checking YouTube and being like, oh shit, what part is dropping today?
Oh,
Like,
I watched fucking Gma the second it came out, dude. Like,
yeah,
you know what's fun? What's funny, like you said about shoe companies, like some of the leaders are on like weird zombie brands, like Chris
nuts.
Johnson, like Lakai, TJ Rogers. Like it's
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I think there's usually like to me like the skater of the year is like almost the like everyone can agree like that person had, or maybe there's like two or three people where like they kind of own that year and I'm good with however it goes. And this year, I'm like, it's almost like there's a certain type of dude, right? That is like a TJ Rogers dude, and that's their person. But, or not dude, there's a certain type of person, but that's not unanimous, Like
Yeah,
TJ
yeah.
TJ Rogers has a cool, I mean, it's really kind of funny that like two of the biggest ones are like someone who overcame cancer and like an anti-vaxxer, like gas station boner pill dude. Like, but they both wear kind of like tank tops and baggy pants. Like that's kind of a good narrative, maybe. I don't know. Like, but I don't know. Like,
The
who owns the year?
white trash is being represented this year, and
Yeah, yeah. White
through
trash is
those two
putting a
guys,
good
and then also
showing.
Monster Energy drink is a white trash staple, and their guy is, I think Tom Shaw might win it. But before this, John and I were chatting, and he was like, Tom Shaw definitely like progressed skateboarding in a way that like nobody probably has in decades.
Mhm.
And in terms of like outsider perspective, like what got John and I into skating, we were saying was like seeing mega ramps and vert ramps and Tony Hawk. It,
Yeah,
it wasn't seeing Mark Gonzalez in, even though he was the best street skater at the time and like the coolest and doing crazy. That's not what got me into skateboarding. So Tom
sure,
Shaw probably is capturing the most like outside of skating or the peripheries of skating. And he's progressing it more, but does that mean he's SOTY? Like, there's no definition to what SOTY is because it's like pretty subjective to whatever Thrasher wants it to be.
sure.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like, is it someone who progressed the sport a crazy amount, or is it someone who just like TJ Rogers who overcame a bunch of shit and makes skating look so good, or
and
Antonio
and
who's
and did
who's
so
cool?
much. Like those parts aren't like SOTY parts, they're not like five good tricks and then some stuff. It's like TJ Rogers parts, like the whole thing is good the whole way through.
Yeah,
Like the other thing I was thinking about is like there's always the weird, someone described it to me this way, I forget who, but like when you live in New York and like even in the internet era, like you listen to Hot 97, like it's outside your house, like so what's like the big song is in your head, right? And then you go
yeah,
to LA and people don't know what the fuck.
yeah, yeah.
Your whole universe is different because they still listen to fucking Snoop Dogg. And you're just like, what in the fuck? And that's kind of like Antonio, like to me, Antonio's like the fucking best ever. But I don't
Yep,
know if like if you go to like a tertiary city, if that's not even on people's radar, you know? Because it's like
exactly.
it's
And
probably more of like a Chris Joslin.
yeah, and I am super biased too. Antonio's from Long Island. I'm
Hmm.
from Long Island. I just want him to win. I think he's the coolest. And again, like, does that translate to someone in New Mexico? Do they give a fuck about Antonio? And yeah, they probably think he's a good skater, or they don't know what hard body is, or
Yeah, totally.
they don't know what sting water is. So do they know who Antonio? Like, how could I say like Antonio's gonna definitely win when I don't know what people I don't even know if people in San Francisco care too much about New
For
York
sure,
skating at all.
dude.
So it's like, do the
The
people in
skating is still
Thrasher care?
regional. It's still like
Yeah.
skating's still regional. Like you will go to the like you can go to any town and there's like certain like people where you're like what they're influenced by. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like they got like ace trucks and like 400 millimeter wheels and they're riding up and down everything and whatever. They got like some polars where the inseam's too short and it looks kind of fucking weird. Like those people exist, like, and then your anti-hero dude in the other corner, like if you go, like I was in San Diego and I couldn't believe like the amount of like creature and mafia, but I want to see that. Like skating is
Yeah,
still
yeah.
super regional, but the thing that's funny about skating is like it's an art form. It's an art form. It's an art form until there's a fucking award. And then everyone is about awards and like, I can't believe so and so got robbed, dude. What the fuck, man? And I'm like, dude, I thought it was like the world's your canvas, man. Like
Yeah.
now it's
Art
so
art
fucking
is
important.
art is subjective. How could you
Yeah,
judge it? Blah blah blah. But when it comes down to judging it, oh, we're gonna judge it, you know?
Yeah,
Like
like I might make like a fucking 78 like commenting video about like breaking down why like Skater X that I like more should have won this fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. So that would be funny if like someone's whole like YouTube shtick should be like every year they just compare Skater of the Year to the person they like the most, even if they didn't do shit that year,
yeah,
and make a
yeah.
campaign about why like every year, dude, it's just fucking Andrew Allen. I don't care if he put out 3 minutes of footage. Like, here's why, and they're just dug in on it. That would rule.
I think seeing that Trans World just came back, you know, like they're putting out the photo issue or whatever, which is awesome. Again, I love print media. That's they
Yeah, yeah.
just need to bring back the awards. They need to bring back the Trans World Awards. That is
Oh yeah.
like the answer to all of this. Because SOTY's great, but it is the only award. I want to see Video of the Year, and Quarter Snacks does their thing, which is
Mhm.
awesome with the parts and the reader submitted poll. No, I want like the Trans World Awards back. Best filmer, best photographer, best photo. Like that shit was I thought that was so cool as a kid. I was like always, you know, obviously again, SOTY is the award, but there are so many other people and I think that would kind of like, be a little more interesting if people were doing that. And then I'd want to see people campaigning for like best photo. And then like December
Fuck yeah.
12th, all of a sudden every photographer is putting out their shot of the
That would
year.
be
Some shit
that
like
would be
that.
amazing, dude. Like especially like yeah, the behind the scenes people like they should go all in and do like best graphic, like just fucking
It's
blow it out and have a fun event where people show up and really don't know who's gonna win. You know,
yeah,
like
like
a
that would
fucking
be
ESPYs or some shit. Like
dude, that would be and I think it would make it way less serious too. Like I think um some people get so serious about SOTY and then it takes the fun out again because it's like, all right, I thought this was just like a fun kind of award, guys doing crazy tricks. Now it's like a whole campaign, and again, like it kind of sours it how much I know shoe brands and other brands like put into it, kind of like soils it. But if you have more awards, I think that would get a little, it would be a little less focus on that, and maybe a little less money poured in, and whatever.
I kind of like that it's like there's kind of no point to skateboarding for most people. Like you can go and like people could argue like the point is like having fun, which is like I don't even know what that means, or like personal goals. Like there really is no fucking point to it. And like there's kind of no point to SOTY. Like there's no real metric to it. It's just a thing that happens and it's like sometimes it ages really well, sometimes it doesn't. And like it's at least something to fucking talk about. Like I like moments.
Yeah. And it used to be video premieres were a big talking point. Oh, this video
Mhm.
is dropping soon. And we still get that, but now it's like there's less of that kind of like, oh, this is the moment for this, like and I remember the year Suchu put out Verso and he didn't win. Like I remember waiting to hear when the premiere for Verso was because I knew it would be in New York and stuff. And for weeks we were like hearing, no, he's still filming his last trick. He's still like that was so cool to be in the like it, kind of knowing what was going on without actually
Yeah.
knowing. Like that was so cool. And then he lost, which also was I didn't like it, but was cool. Like a surprise upset was kind of sick. So
I
it's
hope
cool to
this,
have that kind of camaraderie, like I think the community needs something like this to
yeah.
talk about and to do that. And if it's in person, that would be super cool as well.
I want there to be like, I would be so tempted to pick a spoiler, just to like,
Oh
I would
yeah.
pick like a bum out, like just if I had that ability, because then it was like, it's almost like when I used to do this when I would get asked to do a list, I would leave out something really obvious so then people in the comments would engage with it. How the fuck did you not pick Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. And like it would almost be like the equivalent of that is like pick the, I don't know, fucking Ricky Geiger. Is that a dude? Like,
Yeah.
just fucking go for it?
That if Grayson Fletcher wins, I feel like that'll be people will be pissed in a
That
good
was
and
the most Thrasher part of a Thrasher part like
I know.
ever.
And he put the out there like I again, I there are people I want to see Antonio win when Tyshawn won, that was cool, but I love an upset and I love when people get mad.
Hmm.
So if they could pick someone who will bum everybody out, I think that would be awesome, you know?
Yeah, the bum out's the best part when like civilians get butt hurt that their favorite person didn't win something is like it's always a source of entertainment for me. I mean, I'm gonna win no
Oh
matter what
yeah.
because I'm just gonna be entertained.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will say, I don't want to keep you too long, but like I because there's less team videos, like project videos, I think that hurts people because like when you have the best part, it doesn't even need to be the fucking end or like the last part. When you have
Hmm.
the standout part in a project, you're automatically like elevated. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, so and so had the best part in fucking Minefield or whatever the fuck, like that, because you already know the thing's really good, but like you were the really good part of the really good thing. And with
Yep.
these rollouts where it's like, it's a part, but it's not a part of anything, and they all have some stupid name called like fucking like skin job or whatever the fuck. And you're just like, I don't even know what this fucking means, you know?
I
And
thought, yeah, like Tom Shaw, his part was called Curtains, and Antonio's solo part was called Interlude. And, it's all these like, oh, we're coming towards the end kind of. Just like, dude, put it in a full length video. And I think I agree. Like, if, let's say, Lakai dropped a video, sure,
mhm.
whatever, it's not the same team, but I'd probably still watch it. And if Jocelyn had the best part, I'd probably be like, all right, at least that video is worth watching because I saw the best part in the video and I saw Jocelyn. I watched his part, I watched it twice, whatever. I'm never watching that shit again. It fly by night. Like the tray flip is cool, the big
Yeah.
flip is amazing. I don't want to downplay anything because that's fucking awesome. Tray flip El Toro was so sick. But God, if it was in a full length, then that video would also be remembered. Like, oh, Lakai, their new release that had the tray flip El Toro. Like, now it's just Gma. I don't
Yes.
know, dude.
It's like it's
Fuck.
kind of like if they redid the Olympics and like the sprinting events was just one person going at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
You
exactly.
know, it's like you're all fucking fast. I can't judge. Like we need you
Yeah.
together. Like I don't know. Like
No,
I think
that's pretty. I like the sprinter analogy. Like, yeah, if everyone was just timed and then you compare the times, but they all ran solo, that would be
yeah, yeah.
boring as shit.
Yeah.
But seeing them race against each other, that's the cool part.
Yeah, I want to see like I think those years that were memorable, like whoever won was a standout in their project. Whereas
Yeah.
like undeniable. Like
Ave in Propeller,
hmm
or Leo in Stay Gold, like
hmm
that kind of shit. Those stood out because I mean, Stay Gold is, I mean, Reynolds has the best part in that video, but still Leo had the part that won him the award, and that's insane. Ave in Propeller clearly had the best part, and you could see he worked the hardest. Like that was a cool
yeah.
win.
It should have been Guy and fucking fully flared, but it was like David Gonzalez, right? Like
That was
everyone was
crazy.
like, "Ah, that's a crazy one," but unanimously people are like, that should have been fucking Guy Mariano. He upped the game the most that year. It might not be your favorite style, it might not be your favorite skater, but the story, the whole thing, it was like, that's a SOTY. Like, how can that not be? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Do you think Phelps dying kind of watered it down? Like, do you think he
I
had?
think it changed it because like Phelps to me was like the epitome of someone who cares about every aspect of skateboarding and wasn't afraid to just put something out there, you
Mhm.
know? And like
Yeah.
that's not a shot to anyone else, but it's like,
No, no, I just think he was a standalone character.
yeah, he's just like one of a kind. Yeah.
You'll never see another Phelps in skateboarding or in any uh media or in anything, Like I truly think one of a kind person.
Yeah, also like just the way he had like a photographic memory and just a total fucking character. And yeah, I think I mean, I don't know. I don't know the inner workings as much there. It's also like I do think this is like a bad topic to bring up towards the end of something, but like if you look at the past like 15 years of skateboarding, it's a lot harder to build these like icons, right? Right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're because everyone's so fucking good, where it's like in other eras, like a Steve Olson or a fucking Tom Penny or like Muska, like there, there's something about these people that's like very endearing and like
Yep.
whatever, they stand out. And now like everyone's so fucking good. And it's like you're being fed like this is the new person, this is the new, and
Yep.
they're always like a version of something else. Like it's the new fucking Appleyard, and then they're never the new
Yeah, yeah.
Appleyard, you know? And
There's no more like unique, or there are a few, but there's not like the character type of
yeah,
people. It's always this is the new. Like
yeah,
I've heard Nikolai Palumbo, like I love his skating. He's super good, but I've heard the comparison to him and Penny like a bunch of times. Like, oh, this is the new Penny. It's like, all right, yeah, that's cool. I like Tom Penny. It's cool that there's someone, but also I wish he wasn't compared to Tom Penny. I wish it was just like this is Nikolai and he's the
yeah.
best, you know,
He's
which
himself.
he is,
Yeah, it's
you know.
also there's like there's so many personalities and interesting people that like there's people I forget about. Like when you were saying the new Penny, like Hightower was the new Penny
Oh,
for
dude.
a minute, and like I forgot about him till you said that, and that dude's amazing.
100%. I totally slipped on. Like, yeah, 2018, 2019, or like whatever, those early Palace videos that he was in. It was, yeah, this is the new Penny.
Hmm.
Baggy pants, cool front side flips, all this kind of
Super
shit.
fucking casual. Don't know what's
Yeah.
next. Like it's
And now
yeah,
that buck is passed on to Nikolai, and I'm sure in 2 years there'll be another, oh, this is the new Tom Penny, and he wears the fucking brim beanie, you know?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and then there's some kids who will listen to this who like their media diet is like all the fried brands, and they're like punching the screen because they're like, oh, you don't know about fucking, so and so. It's like, yeah, dude, I know about all of it. It's just there's so much. Like there can't because things
yeah.
are so big, it's harder to have those like everyone's it's almost like there's a Tom Penny of every genre and
Yep.
subgenre.
Yep. That's yeah. It's funny. And like you said, like, yeah, oh, you haven't heard of John Smith? He skates for this brand that has a model on it and they're cool and they're from New York City and he's cool, he's good at skating, but he's not a character. Like I'm not gonna be hyped on this one person. Their videos are cool, but it there's no grabbing aspect to this person besides them dressing cool and looking cool and being on a cool company. There's no substance there.
Yeah, there's no because there's only like one major mag, there's not like these outlets to keep pumping like whatever this like unique person is and sort of branding them or even like I think a lot of the advertising sometimes too looks so similar where it's like
Yep.
it's hard to get those individuals to stand out because like a company can't justify taking out a full page ad of like someone, I don't know, like at a fucking urinal being weird.
Yeah,
Like that's a tough sell.
yeah. Well, dude, before we sign out, where can people find your work? Where can people listen to your music?
Yeah, I mean, just anthonypoppalardo.com is like the catch-all, kind of do stuff for Closer here and there
Hell
and
yeah.
uh no current music stuff. All the old shit is on all the evil streaming platforms. The book you can go to like if you want to get the new copy of Radio Silence, you go to revhq.com.
Thank you so much. This was such a good conversation. I'm hyped.